Welcome back, everyone. So we're going to be just proceeding with the router per our discussion from the previous videos. And going back to where we are, I can take out this thing and we have the app, which is containing the header, the content and the footer. So our focus is going to be just more on the content side. So this is where it's going to be just showing content goes here. And the idea is going to be whenever we want to show whenever we're clicking on any of those, whether it is click member or link the list members, the corresponding components are going to be just showing over here. So let's start from the create member. I have created a part of it. It's not a fully complete one. It is just a copy paste kind of thing, which was taken from this one, from the React Bootstrap component. As a start, I would highly encourage you just to do that one as well. You can search for any of the component that you want on the search bar. And when you get what you need, then you're going to be just copy this one and then take it from there. Probably one more thing that I have to notice is on the index.js, I have added on line 6, as you can see, that there is a bootstrap. That means that CSS is added. And for this, we have to add the bootstrap to be loaded as a part of like the package as well. So as you can see it like on line 10, there is a bootstrap and then there is also a React bootstrap. So the two have to be there in order to make it work as expected. And the bootstrap part is to provide like the basics of the CSS that are going to be just needed, which is added on this one, on the index.js. You can add it somewhere else as well, but this one appears to be the best place that I can think of, so that it is going to be just available for all components out there, including the app where we have started over here. So let's start our stuff with that of like the routing. The very first thing is the inclusion of the React Router DOM. So for this, we need to install the React Router DOM library using the npm install React Router DOM. So probably you can go to the npm store and then get it from there, but I have already installed it. Or if you are going to be just using the package.json, when you do the npm install, it's going to install it for you. But this is a crucial kind of like library that we need for the routing. So we need to have this one on our application for the routing to work properly. The very first thing that we want to do when we are working on the routing is to be able to add the browser router into and then to embed it in between this one. So what we can do is browser router, and then everything has to be under this one. And since all the other components are going to be just under the app, then embedding it or wrapping it within the browser router is going to cover like the whole cases. And this is going to be just important, especially when we're using the link to be navigated from one place to another. And then that is going to be just very important. So we need to have this thing as a part of like the routing to work. So on the index.js, we're going to be adding the browser router. As you can see, this browser router is coming from the React Router DOM that I just mentioned in the package part. So the first thing when we are working with the routing is just to embed the app or any top level the component that we're having within the browser router. Then I'm going to go to like the content, and here is where we're going to be just adding a different ways of routing that we're going to be just having. And for this, we're going to be just using a switch, which and it's going to be just automatically imported. And you can see that this one is coming from the switch that's going to be embedded on this one automatically. Then under this one, we're going to be just using a route. And we are going to be just needing what we're going to be just working or showing into. So for this one, among all the other options that we're having, we're going to be just using like the path. So the path is going to be the one that we're going to be just using what to show when the required path is going to be just looked at. So for example, Let's start with a very simple slash, which is the very first one, or the home. So by default, when we are loading our application, then this is going to be considered as the main one, or the very first one. So it's not going to be just showing anything because we haven't shown that one. So if I, for example, go to, let's say, the layout, would be just better to have it like on the layout, or let's do it over here. That should be fine. If I add another one called like welcome.js, and then let me have like function welcome, and I'm going to install this and export default welcome. Then on return, I'm going to have let's say P, or let's have H3. Welcome to the member management. So let's say a very simple one. So the idea is when someone is at the landing page over here, I wanted to show a welcome component over here. So this one is a very simple component, but we can make it like a more complex one, just showing like all kinds of things, like including the image or the how-tos or the instruction or anything. But for now, we're going to be just showing just simply welcome to the member management over here. And it's going to be just shown on this one when we load the page at the landing page. So in order to do that, then we're going to go back to the content, and this is where we want to have it. So when it is routing for the path, just like this one, then the question is, what do we want to show? So we want to show the welcome, and it is, let me check like it is imported. Yep, we have imported that one. So what we wanted to do is when someone is navigating for the landing page, which is the path is going to be just with the slash like this, then what we wanted to show is the very first part, which is welcome to the member management. Now we know that the routing is working as expected. So a switch is, as you know, like from the if case or from the conditions, it is going to be just doing one thing at a time. So when it is this one, then it's going to show the welcome. Then you can imagine that from here, we're going to be just using a lot more case. Let's say path, and let's say create. And when this one is used, then let's use the one that we have under the member, and it is going to be just a create. So I'm going to say create member, and we're going to be just showing that one. So we have imported that create member from the members create, and that's going to be just this guy over here. And that's going to be just shown on over here. So when someone is pointing to the slash, which is the main page, the landing page, then we're going to show it like the welcome component. When someone is looking for a crate, then we're going to list, or we're going to show the crate member. So if I go back over here, and if I type crate, then you can see that on the top, it pulls welcome to the member management, which was from the first one. We don't want this one to happen, but it is happening this way. And then we're going to address the why on how we're going to avoid that. But the main thing is we're going to show when it is a crate, then you can see that it is adding the crate component that we have told it to show over here. So when I'm navigating to the crate with a slash crate, just like this one, then it is going to be just pointing to the component that is associated with the crate member. So if we go back to the crate member over here, then you can see that this is the email address or whatnot that we have been using on this one. So for example, if I add one more on the top, just to show that we are on the same page, I'm going to go here and then say, let's say name, we can say like full name, and type could be text maybe, and enter full name. Then we might not need this one. And if I save that, then you can see like the full name that we have added is going to be just added on this one. The enter email and the password and whatnot are going to be just added as needed on this one. right? So with this, let's see the problem of what are we having over here. What is the problem of just getting the this one just showing like on top of like what we are having on top of the on the main component? Because what we need on the crate is not to have the welcome component, because the welcome component should be shown on the first one only. The problem on this one is if we go back to the content, then anything which is matching this one is going to be just loaded as well. So the way how it works is there is a slash over here. So it's going to be just matched, and then it's going to show like the welcome over here. But when we are coming to the second one, there is also a forward slash over here. And because of that, it's going to be just mapping the welcome as well. And that of like the crate is going to be just performed from this one. So the way how we're going to be just avoiding is by using what we call an exact. So if we say exact, then what it means is it's going to be just showing this one only when we have an exact path that is going to be just with a forward slash or with a blank only. And the same thing with this one, and that's going to be just only shown when it is on a crate. So if we go back and if we do the crate one again over here, then at this moment you don't see the top part, which is showing like the welcome message that we're showing what was supposed to be shown when we are landing to the page. At this moment, it's going to be just showing only to the crate. All right, so this is basically the basics or the crux of the routing that we're going to be just having over here. So the majority of the thing is going to be just done on this one. The rest is going to be just to have the pointers to be pointing to the right place with from the area that we want to show it. And for this one, we're going to be just using like a link that I'm going to show you shortly. But the main thing that we're going to be just working on this one is going to be to show the component when we are tabbing on the crate. So once we know how we're going to be just navigating to the right path, then the next is going to be how are we going to be just navigating using the actual link. So on the case of the routing, we might not be using like the anchor tag, but rather we're going to be just using the link component that's going to be just provided by the React routing DOM. So for the crate member, what we want to do is we are going to be just adding the link, and we're going to import it from there. And in place of the href, we're going to give it like 2, and we're going to be just providing the path that we're interested to show. So if we are going to be just showing that one and save that, and let's make sure that it is, yep, link is added over here, and it's coming from the React router DOM. So if we go back and then hit enter over here, then it's going to show like the welcome page. That's fine. And remember, like we have added like the link on the crate member. So when I'm clicking on the crate member, then you can see that on the tab, it is going to be just showing the crate path that we have like created, and then it's going to be just loading the corresponding component that we have created for it. So with this, you can see that it will be a matter of like adding the same link to the corresponding components on the respective anchors that we're going to be just having, and we won't be using like the rather we're going to be just using the link. And this is going to make sure, this is going to show you like how we're going to be just using the switch. So one thing just to notice is we're going to add the switch where we want the component to be shown. So at the whole of like the component, the column that we're going to be just showing on the content, that is where we're going to be just adding all lists of like the path that we're going to be just having. So whether we are clicking from this one, the content is going to be showing over here, or whether we are showing over here, then the content is going to be just showing on this one as well. So that way, we're going to be just populating or embedding the components in the same space, whether we are asking it from any kind of like the link that we're going to be just having. All right, hopefully you have got like the whole information on how we're going to be just adding the routing using from the React router DOM, using the route, the switch, and the link, and also on how we're going to be just updating the link that we're interested in, not to use like the anchor, but rather the link. All right, now we have like the basics of the routing, and that will conclude that. So from here, we're going to be just continuing on the upcoming video on how we're going to be just using the access to load the page that we want, whether it is for listing or to update or to point to edit or to delete. Probably before that, we're going to see on how we're going to be just using the fake server that we're going to be just used rather than just going out to the actual server. We might be using like the local fake server to use or to get or to consume the data. As usual, if you like the video, don't forget to like it, and I'm going to see you on the next video.